Well, after many years, I have made it full circle. Back when I was a young man, starting off in the Navy, back in 1979, I bought my first 1911 pistol. It was a government model Colt. And then after that, I got sucked off into the polymer world when Glock came out. Tried some Glocks, some XDs, got some Walthers under my belt, and kind of got that plastic out of my system. So now, I am going all the way back around, full circle, back to the steel-bodied 1911. I've gone through all the stories on the internet about how they're not reliable and this and that. None of that's really true at all. There's just a few little things that you got to watch out for, but once you get past those, these are very good, reliable guns. Now, this is the way I tell somebody how reliable these are. Look at how many companies are out there that build these for $2,000 and $3,000 and $4,000 and $5,000 a piece. So they are very reliable. This one I just picked up at a used/new gun store. A gun store, they carry a lot of used stuff. And this is built by SpringField Armory. It is a range officer. Right here in real small letters it says RO for range officer, target. Let's see what it says on the other side. The other side just says SpringField Armory. Now, we'll go ahead and check this for empty, make sure we're good and clear. Clear there. Pull this mag out. Mag is clear. Clear there. Pinky test. So, good and clear, but this is an excellent gun. Now, Springfield, what they're famous for is they have very good solid forged slide, forged frames, hammer, cold forged hammered stainless steel barrel. This is a match grade barrel. What they built the range officer for when it first came out was to be a competition gun. These guns, I've read plenty of reports where if you've got hand loads, the right bullet, these guns are capable of 1-inch groups at 25 yards. And that's plenty good enough for a beginner. Now, one of the things I really like about these stainless steel guns is if you have a problem, if you have some scratches on these guns, you can purchase some of this. They've got this at Harbor Freight. It's the Hercules 1200 grit sandpaper. And you can just take that sandpaper and dress right down the side of that gun if you've got a few scratches, and it will not hurt that stainless steel at all. It'll take the little scratches out and then follow it up with a paper towel and a little bit of oil, and you'll be in good shape. So that is the beauty of stainless steel, is it can tolerate a few scratches here and there as long as you don't get too deep, and that'll do a fine job for you. And this one had some scratches. Now I'm going to tell you how it had them. Somebody had taken the gun apart and they went to put the slide lock back in. They see how it got a little bit of metal on there. They had tried to push this this slide lock down in there, and the slide lock was still factory fresh. It was real rough and real square on its edges, and they got to pushing and they slid that right across that slide. Then they slid it down onto the frame, and they had really scratched this gun up. It was pretty ugly. But this is the solution on a stainless steel gun, 1200 grit. It is so smooth, it's hard to tell which side is the actual sandpaper. The backside feels just as rough as the 1200 grit. You're not going to hurt your gun with that. It won't take any real metal off. Even if you were to polish the barrel here, I wouldn't spend much time in that area because you could affect your tolerance a little bit, but it'd take an awful lot of rubbing to do that. If you had some crud built up there, that 1200 would take care of it. So that's something for you to keep in mind. Is a good solid stainless steel gun. It's forged, it's very strong, and if it is got some scratches on it, you can knock them right off. Now if it's Cerakoted or nickel based or something like that and gets a big scratch, you're stuck. You'd have to completely redo it. But with this, you can just hit it with that 1200 grit. Now see that pull, some of that is that gray sand from the sandpaper itself, but some of that also is that stainless steel. It kind of fluffs it up and gets it off. And I try to run with the grain, kind of like as if it's wood, because they do put kind of a brush finish on these going that direction. If you want to keep polishing, you could get that all the way down to mirror finish if you wanted to. But these are good solid guns. If you can find one of these in your local gun store that's for sale, the price on these, you want to be, if you want to get a bargain on one, it'd be $700. But these are going to run, generally speaking, about $800 to $900 if you can find one in good shape. Get one that's not modified. On mine, the first thing I did was I went ahead and took the heavy recoil spring out of it, and I put in a 14-pound variable recoil spring. Came from Wolf, and that makes these just buttery smooth. It makes them so much easier to cycle. I shoot some light loads in this. I use bullseye, 4 grains of bullseye with a 230 grain bullet, and it will really hit well. Does a great job. So that's the that's one change that I made to the gun. That's a simple change. Took a 14-pound variable recoil spring. The next thing I did was the main spring in here is a 23, and I swapped that out for an 18, and that makes it where the hammer can be cocked a little easier. And the hammer, of course, when you're cycling the slide on one of these, you're cocking the hammer. So by making that a little less spring there, you just don't need a heavy 23-pound spring. These have a titanium lightweight firing pin, and they don't use the large diameter like a 45 used to be. Now they use a very small diameter, which is designed for the 9mm or 38 Super. So you just don't need to hit that hard. And then the last step that I did to make this a real target gun was I went into the sear spring. There's a leaf spring in the back of this. It's got 3 prongs. One is for your take up, one is for your sear, and the last one is for the safety here. And I went ahead and adjusted those. So now I've got this trigger now is down to 2.25, and that's about 30. It's right below 40 ounces, 36 I think. And it is really a nice crisp trigger, so I'm real happy with that. 2.25. This is not a carry gun, so it's okay for it to be very light. Just strictly using this for target. This has the Bomar style rear sight on it. It's fully adjustable up and down. You can see it's spring loaded, so it'll adjust up and down. It'll adjust right and left. And this has the fiber optic front sight on it. These come in the factory box with some inserts that you can put in here, and usually come with the red one in the gun. And I went ahead and put the grasshopper green because when you're out in the woods, there's a lot of stuff that's red or orange, you know, in the fall time, but nothing that's that bright grasshopper green like that. So it shows up better in the woods. But if you get a chance to get one of these, I'm telling you, these range officers are very nice. I left the factory grips on it. This is a double diamond Coca-Cola. It has a range officer that it says right there, and Springfield has stopped making these. But now I'm going to tell you, if you want to try to stay with a traditional looking gun, by that I mean no cocking serrations on the front of the gun, several other features on these that kind of keep it more traditional. It doesn't have an equipment rail on the front, so no equipment rail. No cocking serrations there. It does have the flat back strap on it, and it's kind of leaning more toward traditional. If you want to stay along those lines, they do have a gun called the Garrison. Garrison stands for or means a bunch of troops that are guarding an army base or a fort somewhere. It could be out in the middle of nowhere, but that's what a garrison is. It's a group of men, usually soldiers, that are guarding an area. And the Garrison, if you get one of those, now listen, this is important. If you go to Springfield and look at their website, the Garrison comes in 2 different sizes. You can get the government size like this, has the full length grip. It'll have a 5-inch barrel like this gun does. It will come with the Novak sight front and rear, so you'll need to take your dovetail out if you want to make it a target gun and go ahead and slide a set of these sights like this that are fully adjustable. Put your fiber optic front. You could probably call them and have them do that for you. But the Garrison, you can get it in a full-size 5-inch stainless steel just like this, or they now have it in the stainless steel and 4 1/4. So you can get it in the Commander size, and that knocks about 3-4 ounces of weight off and makes it just a little easier to carry. you can get that stainless steel 5" or 4 1/4. You can get those, both of those, in a 45 or a 9mm. And they also have the new hot salt blue, which is not anything real new, except a lot of gun companies kind of got away from bluing, and Springfield's decided to go back to that. So you can get a Garrison in a blued, and what they'll do is they'll kind of have a rough finish like that on there. They'll blue over that, and it'll stay non-glare, but on the side it's just a beautiful, slick, like I say, hot salt blue. It's a rusting process that leaves that blue finish behind. And as long as you keep it oiled, keep it clean, it'll hold up good for you. So again, you can get the Garrison just like this, a Garrison in stainless steel in blue. You can get it in a 5" or 4 1/4 commander size, and you can get all of them in 45 caliber or 9mm. I prefer the 45 because it just goes with the 1911, and it's a lower pressure round. The 45 is at 21,000 and the 9mm is at 38,000, about twice as much pressure. So for my wife, she carries a commander size gun made by TSOS with aluminum frame. And if you want this in an aluminum frame, you want to go commander and go aluminum frame, you can get that in their RONIN. They have a RONIN that has an aluminum frame. It's not bobtail, it's a full government size grip. 4 1/4 aluminum frame, and it'll come in right at 30 ounces. These big boys like this in a range officer or in the Garrison, if it's a full size, is going to run you right at 39 to 40 ounces. By the time you put one magazine in there, you're going to be right at, I mean real close, like 39.6 ounces for a full size stainless steel gun. A little bit too heavy for most people to carry. If you are a pretty stout dude and you can wear a heavy duty belt and a really good quality holster, you can get by with carrying one of these. The military carried them for years, but they had them in a big John Wayne looking leather holster, and they were definitely some tough dudes to have to carry a full-size government model in combat. But they're good guns. But if I want to carry one, I'm going to carry it on a EDC, everyday carry, and carry it every single day. I'm going to go with aluminum frame, go with the RONIN aluminum frame, and go with a 4 1/4" barrel, commander size, and you'll be in much better shape with the lightweight RONIN. Again, under 30 ounces. So I hope this will give you some things to consider. If you're tired of the polymer guns, shooting plastic guns, man, SpringField Armory has some excellent guns. This is definitely something for you to consider. There's lots of companies out here, but Springfield does an excellent job. Their guns come with good warranty, and I called them today to ask a couple of questions, and man, they answered the phone real quick, and they were able to answer my questions without any problem. So always keep SpringField Armory in mind. Good solid forged frames, good solid forged slides. When you forge that metal, it really increases the density, and the grain structure of the metal gets tighter and tighter. And then they do the machining, the heat treating, everything is done properly, and they are very good at building the 1911. So that's something for you to keep in mind. Range officer, if you see one of these used, grab it up, because they do not make the range officer anymore. But I'm telling you, the Garrison is almost exactly like this, and I like that term, that name Garrison. That's an interesting name to make it sound like you're running a whole army fort around it. And that's just a cool name. And the RONIN, that's a cool name too, if you want to go with the aluminum frame. So thank y'all for watching. We hope that you'll keep coming back, and I'll be covering some more details on this pistol later. Thank you, and over and out for now.